All right, good evening, everyone. We are so glad that you're here tonight. We're really excited to get started and hear from our awesome panel. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to use your business as a force for good and how to get started on your purpose-driven journey. So we're going to be hearing from a couple different experts across various industries, and we hope that, that this webinar is not only rewarding, but also really informative for wherever you're at in your purpose journey within your business. So we are going to just go over a couple of housekeeping items. My name is Sarah. I'm going to be the host tonight as well as the moderator during our live Q&A. And this webinar will be recorded and it will be sent out to everyone that's RSVP'd, so all of yourselves, tomorrow, along with some other resources as well. So not to worry if you're wanting to take notes or you wish that you heard what somebody said a second time, you can go back and watch it. That link will be provided in the email that you receive, as well as on our YouTube channel, on Libro Credit Union's YouTube channel. Awesome. We'll go to the next slide here. So again, just to go a little bit more over what we are going to be talking about today. So we're going to, talk about context and why businesses are, important that have a social purpose, and what B Corps are, and what that looks like and what that certification is about. Then we're going to hear from our experts, so Libro Credit Union, Mccabe Promotional Advertising, as well as Righteous Gelato, and then we will move into the Q&A. So just again, another housekeeping item, in the chat to your left, or maybe your right, my left, you will see an opportunity there to ask a question. So we encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation, regardless of if it's near the end, or if you thought of a question during someone else's presentation. If you're anything like myself, you'll forget it by the end of the Q&A. So feel free to pop it in there at any point. Awesome. So let's meet the speakers. So we're really excited today to hear from various different experts from various industries. So today we are going to be hearing from Natalie and Alex from Mccabe Promotional Advertising. We will also be hearing from Shannon, who works at Righteous Gelato. And then we will be hearing from our very own Liz Arkansas, who works at Libro Credit Union. Awesome. So just to set the stage a little bit here, we've seen, over the past decade or so, a global shift is underway to harness the power of business to address society's greatest challenges. There is a strong business case to do so as well, and the evidence is mounting that businesses that stand for solving societal changes are performing well, both in terms of market growth, competitive advantage, meeting and changing customer needs, and also energizing their employees. Consumers are also increasingly demanding businesses generate and disclose on the social and environmental impact that they are having, and that factors into our purchasing power as well and purchasing choice. The expectation on sustainability should be built into a company operations, as well as the products and services that they offer. Social purpose, climate change, social equity and inclusion, and trust are among key trends impacting our customers, communities, and again, purchasing power and purchasing decisions. Whether you are a company that is purely profit-driven today and curious how you can get started using your business as a force for good in your community or for the planet and for people, or you've been doing this to some degree and are looking for ways to amplify it and formalize it and increase your reporting, this conversation is absolutely for you today. And we understand that there's going to be a wide array of people that have maybe heard of this stuff, really passionate about it, or maybe this is the first time that you're hearing about it today. So we are happy you're here, and we expect that this is going to be really impactful. So again, as I mentioned, we're going to be hearing from 3 different companies, including Libro Credit Union, on our journeys to use business as a force for good, how it's impacted our business goals and performance, and we will gather useful pieces of advice and a few resources to share at the end as well. And you'll hear a little bit more about B Corp certification and B corporations and how that's been useful to all 3 of our companies that are in attendance tonight and what that means. Alrighty, so certified B corporation. So Libro and again, all of the other companies joining us tonight are proud to be certified B corporations. And again, what is that? What's a B Corp? What's a B corporation? So these are businesses that balance purpose and profit and have committed and are being held accountable to using their business as a force for good for both people, our communities, and the planet. So this is a, excuse me, this is a certification that is a global movement. There are over 4,000 certified B Corps across hundreds of different industries and also in 77 different countries. And again, you're going to be able to hear from 3 tonight. So, and I want to preface this is one of the many ways businesses can commit to using their business for a purpose beyond profit. And it is a fantastic way to report on the changes that your business is taking and is making. So again, it is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but this is a movement and a certification that ourselves, Libro Credit Union, as well as our other guests here tonight have found really, really impactful and beneficial. Great. So we will, I'm going to hand it over to Liz Arkansas. So she is part of our team here at Libro. She is the Social Corporate Responsibility Manager, and she's going to talk a little bit more about Libro's journey and how we've gotten to where we are today. Awesome.
Liz, you're on mute.
Yes, I am. Wouldn't be a day without the mute button problem. Thanks, Karen. And welcome, everybody. And also welcome to our friends from Righteous Gelato and Mccabe Promotions. Really excited to be able to talk to you tonight about the Libro, the journey that Libro is on, but also just to help, you know, really, I think at Libro, certainly we're on a purpose beyond profit journey. And part of that journey is that we can't do it alone. And the more people that we can share this information with and share what our journey has been like and kind of spread the word, then the more we're able to kind of grow prosperity together. So on the next slide, just goes over a little bit about what Libro, who Libro is, what we're all about, if it's something that isn't as familiar to you. So we do have a purpose-based business model, which we're going to talk a lot more about. We serve over 100,000 member owners. So that means our customers are our owners. We're a financial cooperative. We have over 700 employees. As you already know, we're a certified B Corp, and we have 34 different locations across Southwestern Ontario. Let's get into a little bit of the journey that we've been on. So I mentioned that we are a financial cooperative, and many credit unions were based on and had a social purpose to begin with. So that means, you know, we weren't created to earn the most profit possible. We were created people helping people. And so our particular credit union was, you know, started around a kitchen table when access to financing was at an all-time low and people were trying to help their neighbors to survive. So it can be said that we have had kind of purpose in our DNA, and that is very much true. And I think over the past 80 years for us, it's taken on many different forms. And today, when you think about environmental, social governance, it does get to be a bit of an alphabet soup. But when you think about the consumer demands and the path that people are on, really it has meant us really formalizing that and really kind of getting back to our roots and formalizing it and making it something that we will stick to kind of no matter what. We have that mission lock, so to speak. So good times or bad times, this is who we are. This is what our strategy is built around. So when, you know, this diagram just goes over a little bit about how we might have looked at corporate social responsibility or ESG years ago. And that would have been, you know, we have a, you know, a great way of doing lending, doing investing, and kind of having the products and services that you would typically expect in a financial institution. And then we would do great things, and the profit always has stayed local, but it was more of kind of a generosity model or a philanthropic model, earn the money and then do some good things with it. So we took the opportunity in 2005 when we kind of brought a couple of credit unions together and said, you know, we're really, we see this as the way of the future. We see this as, you know, business having a huge role to play in solving societal challenges. We're a credit union. We're built to do this. So let's really focus that social impact. So this is a journey. We couldn't get there, you know, overnight. So a couple of years ago, we developed a strategy that said, okay, to really embed this across the organization, we need to, put a stake in the sand and say, if we're going to do this, we need to do it and do it well and do it across the whole organization. And so that started out our journey really in 2017 to really bake this into what we do. And then I would say now we are at a point in 2020 and beyond that this is an enterprise-wide social purpose. So each of our business, it's taken some time, but our business units all understand how they would, build this into how they operate and the things that we do to both offer our owners, our communities, and to support the way that we do business. The next slide, I've used this, and I have to give credit to EY, but I've used this over and over as a guide as we really started to look at how we baked this into how we operate. And so what do great purposeful companies, what does good look like? And so you need to really clearly articulate and communicate your purpose. So, we'll hear from different companies tonight as well, and you can be completely for profit and thinking, I really want to do some good, and I'm not sure exactly how to go about bringing that into my business. Or you could be creating something from the ground up, thinking, part of why I exist is also to solve some societal challenges. So there's a broad spectrum that you can be on, and that's great, and that's okay. When we think about a company that has identified, a purpose bigger than profit is the reason for being, you're clearly articulating and communicating that. You bring it into your DNA and you act strategically. So you start to use it as a lens, So for us, our social purpose is to grow prosperity in Southwestern Ontario. So we ask ourselves all the time, is this good for our owners, our staff, our community? Is it growing prosperity? If we can't answer yes to all of those, then it's not something we're going to do. It also helps us in that lens for decision making say, how do we really prioritize some of these things? What has the most and highest likelihood of growing prosperity in the region? And that's where we can start to, prioritize things. It is a commitment to our stakeholders. So we know that without owners, without customers, we don't exist. And so really this starts with them it starts with them to think about what are their needs. And so we actively try to connect with stakeholders often. And, you really want to accelerate the integration of purpose. So when you think about what we're hearing in, around climate change or around a whole host of social justice issues, these things are accelerating. So is the demand around companies to act on it, to disclose on it. And so really kind of amplifying that. On the next slide. And I think I just saw something in the chat. I hope I'm not using too much alphabet soup, and I will make sure that I'm explaining some acronyms. Karen, if there's something, I can't see the chat at the moment, so I don't know if there's. Gotcha. Okay, so we'll just keep going with that. On the next slide, so as part of our journey, we identified, okay, growing prosperity is a pretty big thing to try to do. So how do we refine that down and say, and how are we going to do this, And so we did some stakeholder research, did a scan of the region, and we said these 4 things here are what both will help us, are needed to grow prosperity in the region, but also what's Libro good at? We can't do everything. So these were where the biggest connections met. And obviously financial resilience being the top one, where we can, we have a coaching philosophy. And so when we work with our owners, it is in a coaching capacity. So that is, we make sure we looked at it, that we're going to leverage our assets, our relationships, the influence that we have to address all of these issues. This is big work, something that we identified these about 1.5 years ago, kind of just first started talking about them just before COVID. And what we will say is as we are moving through COVID, we did a gut check, are these still the right ones? And we would definitely say that, it's just really amplified the needs in these areas. And so you know, what has kind of shifted in how we're thinking. So on the next slide talks a little bit about here's how we've organized our work. When we've said we're going to be, you know, we are a purpose-driven company and we're on this journey. So we've said we're going to drive sustainable, purpose-driven growth for Libro, our owners and our community. We're going to cultivate that across our organization, and we're going to govern and measure it. So there's lots of things that happen underneath each of those objectives. And so just to give you an example of, so what have we done differently or thought about differently when we kind of formalized this? And so as an example, we took a bold step to offer exclusively responsible investment options. So a few years ago, would we have made that same decision? I'm not sure, but I think having this guideline for us, it just made complete sense, and it really helps staff just understand, you know, that is absolutely helping us grow prosperity for our owners, for our communities, and for Libro. And so that's an example of something that changed for us. We also, you know, over the past couple of years, there's been lots of conversations around social justice issues. And so we made a recommitment, I would say, to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think having these guiding principles and having this in place really helped make that a quick decision for us. And, you know, we've developed a sustainable procurement policy, and some of those things that we've said, you know, really where can we have the greatest impact and where can we drive change? So it is getting us to think differently about how we serve our owners, et cetera. On the next slide, this is just some highlights of, you know, where have we been able to, like, what was the business case? So, you know, you could be on the call thinking that's great, and maybe you work for a company or you have a company, and, you know, a solid bottom line is also very important. So what were kind of the business drivers when we looked at this? And we know that it is attracting and retaining values-aligned talent. And, you know, as a business owner, you will know that, you know, that attraction and retention of people that are aligned to what you're trying to do is extremely important. We also know that it's attracting owners. They're hearing about some of the things that we're standing for. You can choose to do business with just about anybody. And as Sarah mentioned at the beginning, consumers are expecting this and consumers are making choices. And so we're starting to see that shift. I'd love to be able to give you hard numbers here. We don't have that data yet, but you know, we're hearing the stories both on the staff side and on the owner side. When we think about things like the climate work that we're undergoing, you know, we need to reduce risk for ourselves as well. We need to better understand what some of the forces are that are happening globally as well as right here in Southwestern Ontario. So that's also, you know, a business driver as well. It's providing increased brand recognition. We have some resources at the end, and we have, you know, a new branding around making money better. And it's really talking about how, you know, banking with a credit union can make money better. And so we're really seeing some success there as well. And then on the, you know, on the impact side, we're increasing the financial resilience of owners and our community members. That is key to growing prosperity, so key to that purpose. And we're working on finding better ways to be able to measure how much we did that, how much better off are our owners or communities for us having been in existence. On the next slide, kind of give an idea of, so what's next on the horizon for Libro in this journey. And so we're working, like I said, on a financial resilience, you know, a score, a better metric to say whether we're doing that. And on that path, we are looking at non-financial metrics. So, you know, currently most businesses, they measure their success based on traditional financial metrics. And that would not be, we would be in the same camp ourselves. And so we're looking at what are those non-financial metrics that we can measure our success against. We're improving our ESG governance, so our environmental social governance. And, you know, we still have, this is a lifelong journey to grow prosperity. So, you know, we're further embedding it into our products and our services, and there will always be work to do, but that's a bit of where we are at in our path. And I don't want to take too much more time because we have very interesting people coming up. The next slide just talks a little bit about, for those curious, and I think others are going to speak a little bit more heavily about it, but we are a certified B Corp. In 2019, we were in the top 10 percentile for best for the world and overall in the B Corp certification process, and also in the workers category. So that's around how you connect with and treat your employees, etc. So in 2018, we became a B Corp. And when we became a B Corp, there wasn't that many B Corps, and especially in the Southwestern Ontario area. And we've seen since that time, it's over doubled. And so part of the reason, we selected this particular metric for ourselves, we wanted a third-party assessment. We knew we were doing good things, but how good were we doing, and how would we really articulate that to our owners? And so we have just redone our recertification, and we'll be announcing in the next 2 weeks what our score was for 2020. And so, yeah, that has been a really great process for us, helping us find areas of opportunity. So certainly congratulating ourselves and congratulating our owners on the places we're having strong commitment and strong scores. And then it also helps us find the areas to improve moving forward. The next slide, just wanting to, and we will share this as far as some resources. This was just one that's a bit hot off the presses. And so as a resource for those on the call, the Social Purpose Institute, if you Google that, has some amazing resources. Whether you are a purpose-based business or not, or you're curious, there are some great resources on there. And they're really trying to move this path of businesses, being used as a force for good. They're really trying to move that forward in Canada. So the first ever Canadian Propelling Purpose Summit is November 17th and 18th. There's a code there for a discounted login. It's a virtual conference. Yeah, there's, an opportunity during that week also to engage in some impactful conversations. So that, I think, rounds it up for me. We do have a number of resources that we'll share, but we can talk about that after, and we'll pass that on to Mccabe. And I will check now about if there's any questions. Ooh. Hey, I think we've got a young entrepreneur. Do you want me? Are you taking those questions, Sarah? Or?
Maybe we can do those all at the end, and then we can do that. Hopefully there'll be some more added in there. But yeah, there looks like some awesome questions. So keep asking those. We excited to have a good conversation at the end here. All right, well, I'm really excited and honored to introduce Mccabe. So Libro has an existing relationship with Mccabe Promotional, so this is really fun for us. So tonight we are going to be hearing from Natalie and Alex. So Natalie is the marketing manager at Mccabe, and Alex is the operations manager. So without further ado, these gals will take it away.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Hi, everybody. So as Sarah mentioned, I'm Alex Webb. I'm our operations manager and the beekeeper here at Mccabe Promotional Advertising.
And I'm Natalie. I'm the marketing manager here at Mccabe. And so Mccabe Promotional is a B Corp certified promotional products distributor. And we provide thoughtfully and responsible branded merchandising solutions for our clients. And so what we aim to do is demonstrate that thoughtful marketing campaigns are more sustainable, or not only sustainable, but a more impactful and engaging way for brands to tell their story.
So we're really excited today for the opportunity to talk to you about our journey to becoming a more purpose-driven organization, as well as a certified B Corp. And it's quite interesting because our journey begins with Libro. So whenever they first received their certification, we actually happened to be going into a kind of end-of-year meeting with them. And we had worked together with Libro for many years and had always felt like our values, our corporate values, really closely aligned. A great sense of pride and wanting to give back to our communities. In more recent years, we had been exploring together more sustainable marketing initiatives and that type of thing. And so It came at no surprise when Libro encouraged us to look into certification and to see how we might be able to go about improving our own purpose-driven mindset within our organization. And so we left that meeting excited to do just that. And we started to look into what it took to become a certified B Corp, as well as what being a part of that community would bring to us. And what we quickly came to realize is that we were already doing a lot of things that, you know, other companies within the B Corp community were doing, but we quickly realized that becoming a certified B Corp was going to be critical in our success in improving our corporate social responsibility, and so made it our #1 priority in 2019 to receive our certification. And so what we realized is that while we were doing a lot of those great things, we were not doing a very good job of tracking. So being able to understand what our impact was, we weren't able to see how we could improve because we didn't know where we had been. And the majority of that year was spent creating and documenting policies and procedures to back up the good we were doing, as well as doing some historical data pulling to understand what our impact was and where we might be able to improve it, and looking forward to the future to understand, you know, what were our next steps. And the other thing that we very quickly did was changed our articles of incorporation, which is a requirement for B Corps, but it was the first thing that we did. And so we changed those articles of incorporations to be stakeholder focused as well as shareholder focused. So when we talk about stakeholder focused, we mean when we make business decisions, we make those decisions with how that decision will impact both all of our stakeholders, which are our clients, our community, the environment, our employees, and our suppliers. And so we really consider the impact on those individuals at the same time as, and sometimes before what, you know, that will bring to the shareholders. And yeah, so it was really exciting to us. Almost a year to the day from that first conversation with Libro, we received our certification. I can tell you, after a lot of, you know, sweat, tears, and hard work, we were so excited to receive it. And there was a lot of giggling and jumping up and down. And I'm not going to lie, that momentum, that excitement we feel about being a certified B Corp and leading with purpose-driven mindset has not left us. And so we're just, you know, we're really excited to share that with you all today. Nat, did you want to spend some time talking about some of our purpose-driven initiatives that we have?
Yeah, definitely. And so even as Alice mentioned, you know, we realized that we were doing a lot of the things that are indicative of other B Corps, but we weren't doing a good job of documenting it. And so what we actually did was we created a few internal initiatives so that we would be able to focus those efforts. And so some of them that have come about in recent years that we're really proud of are our Marigold collection, our Impact collection, and our Mccabe University. And so just to quickly touch on all of them, we believe that little by little, a little becomes a lot. And so we've always been a big advocate for giving back to the communities in which we work. And so now all of that volunteering, community give back, donations and financial contributions, that's all done under our Marigold collection brand. And so we keep a really close eye on tracking and making sure that we know everything that we're doing under that. And then we also created an internal collection of more sustainable and socially responsible products. And so this is all under our Impact collection, and we actually assess every product that we include over its entire life cycle. And so I'm sure you don't necessarily think of the promotional products industry when you think about sustainability, but we really wanted to make sure that we were educating ourselves on the types of products that we were sourcing so that we could pass that knowledge on to our clients to let them know that there are alternatives out there to the traditional promotional items. And so this has also allowed us to have a closer look at our supply chain and work with suppliers to know that bigger impact of what we're doing as an organization. And I can say that it's really caused a big shift in our annual spend away from those traditional items to ones that are more sustainable in nature or locally produced, which has been really great to see. And then finally, we have an internal program called Mccabe University. And so this is open for all employees to access. And it's really just a way for us to nurture continued learning and foster creativity and curiosity within our team members. And so we've actually partnered with a local firm, which is Aria Consulting, to offer one-on-one coaching with all of the participants. And so they will work towards specific personal goals that they have that will help them in their professional careers as well. And so we found that this has really helped create a lot of excitement within our workforce and has allowed them to become more committed and engaged in their day-to-day activities, and then to bring in their personal passions into their work as well. Mm-hmm. And so from these few initiatives, and these are just kind of our top ones that we've done within recent years, but from this, we've seen a lot of direct benefits within our own organization. And I'll just start with the first one being part of this type of community of like-minded businesses that are leading with purpose and trying to use business as a force for good. Everyone really tries to support and uplift each other, which is really exciting to see in the business world when you're not trying to compete, but instead you're sharing best practices and collaborating with each other. And so that's been something that's been really exciting for us, because when we can all contribute to the environmental, economic, and social well-being of our communities, everyone benefits.
And further to that community, or indicative of that community, is B Lab itself, which is the not-for-profit that oversees the B Corp certification. And we find that the resources we can access through B Lab are just so invaluable to us on our own corporate social responsibility journey. And I wanted to bring up specifically the B Impact Assessment, which is what anyone has to complete in order to receive their certification. But the really amazing thing about it is that it's an absolutely free resource available to any for-profit organization in the world. And so even if you're not ready to or interested in going for your B Corp certification, but you're looking for a way to better understand your purpose-driven impact and find ways that you as an organization can improve and lead to more purposeful thinking, going in and completing parts or all of that in assessment is really an amazing way to see what you're doing and the impact you're having. It's essentially a roadmap to being a better organization.
Yeah, it really is. And I know Liz touched on this quickly, but it has been true for our organization as well, in the attraction and retention of not only team members, but also in clients. And so I know that having that greater purpose in your work has been something I've personally been trying to look for. I think when I first joined this industry, Alex and I think both had kind of personal disconnect between being part of this industry that contributes to so much overconsumption and waste in a lot of ways. And even though the company itself was doing a lot of great things, it wasn't until we went down this pathway that I think we got the sense of like, okay, I can really see a career and a long-term future here, because I want to be able to contribute the change I want to see in this industry. And so it really created a lot of hope and excitement for other team members similar to Alex and I. And then on the other end with clients, we've been able to see that this has led to really strong relationships with them, and we are able to connect with them when they have these corporate social responsibility objectives, that they see the key values of partnering with like-minded organizations. So it's benefited us in that way as well.
We've actually been in pitch meetings with new clients, and before we've had the opportunity to give a formal presentation, but shortly after we've mentioned that we are a certified B Corp, we've seen key decision makers sit back, cross their arms, and ask for contract pitfalls, because they're very intimate with the certification, and they know that they can trust in a company who has it, because that certification, everything you go through in the assessment phase really verifies that what a company is doing, or what they say they are doing that is good, is actually what's happening behind the scenes. And so at the end of the day, we find that being a certified B Corp, but also purpose-driven, has really helped to focus our marketing and allows us to tell the genuine and authentic brand story of what we're doing and how we're leading with a purpose-driven mindset.
Yeah, and so as we look ahead into 2022 in the future, it's a really exciting year for us. As Libro, we're about to go into our recertification year, so it'll be the first one that we do. And so it's exciting for us to not only see how we've improved as an organization. We scored a little bit lower than Libro from our first assessment. We were at the 82 point, but so looking to see how we've improved in that sense, but then also to have a better understanding of the areas that we can still better ourselves and continuously improve.
And so when we were looking at the goals that we wanted to set for ourselves in terms of improvement, we really felt this innate responsibility that because of the industry that we're in, we want to lead a shift and lead a change to a more sustainable industry. And so, we plan to continue growing our impact collection to the point that maybe someday we'll be able to offer only sustainable products. And we're going to work to continue offering increasingly sustainable marketing campaigns to our clients and those that we have relationships with.
Yeah, and along those lines, we're really focusing on building lasting relationships with other purpose-driven organizations. B Corps have a saying that they try to get their consumers to vote with their dollars. And so we're trying to have that same shift with our client base as well. And so we feel that when we can work together and support other companies on their journey to the same impacts, then together we'll be able to work towards a more just and equitable future for all.
Yeah. So we have this mural in our office, and it says at the bottom of the mural, "Happiness, only real when shared." And some of you may be familiar with that quote. It was presumably one of the last realizations that Christopher McCandless came to before he passed away in the Alaskan wilderness many years ago. And I wanted to share that quote because it brings so much inspiration into our daily lives and to me personally. And I think that it's incredibly important to share happiness. And I feel that leading with a purpose-driven mindset, being a part of a community like the B Corp one, or just any community that is geared towards purpose or social purpose, is so incredible. I mean, who wouldn't be happy by giving back to their communities and empowering employees to live productive and balanced lifestyles, and helping really awesome individuals achieve these great missions, these great corporate missions. And so I just wanted to encourage you all today to look at how you might be able to share in the happiness of leading with a purpose-driven mindset, and whether it means you go out for your own certification or you just participate in small ways that are right for you in this moment. I hope that you do find that way to participate in it.
Yeah, and so we just wanted to say thank you so much for letting us speak today and for allowing us to be part of this. And Alex and I are always happy to connect and to continue this conversation. So I'm sure our email will be shared with everyone that is attending today. And if you want to, by all means, reach out, and we look forward to the Q&A a little bit later.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, guys. That was fantastic. Yeah, so many great learnings. And thank you, everyone, for being so lively in the chat. That's awesome. We'll have a really great conversation in the Q&A. And I've noticed Liz has been in there answering some questions. So yeah, fantastic. So next, I'm super, super excited and honored to be able to introduce Shannon Newman from Righteous Gelato. So she's going to be talking to us about their journey being a B Corp, being a purpose-driven business. Righteous Gelato, it's in the name. It's they're a gelato company. It's amazing and yummy. So we're super excited to hear from Shannon tonight. So whenever you are ready, Shannon, we will get started.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to connect just with the other panelists today. And I haven't heard, your full presentations, and it's just so exciting when you get together with other like-minded businesses, other like-minded women as well. It makes me excited. So I'm just really happy to be here. So yeah, we can go ahead and flip through. So building something that matters is something that we talk about literally every single day. Yeah, you can go ahead, Karen. Sorry. a few things on the next slide that I'm gonna talk about. Just a little about who I am, who we are as an organization, sort of how the purpose-driven journey, which we were always on, and Liz sort of alluded to it and said something that we say a lot, which was it was always in our DNA. We just didn't have it measured, but there was a catalyst event that really sort of flipped the way our organization was, the track that we were on. We'll talk a little bit about the business impact that it's had at Righteous, and then what's in store for us. So I have been with Righteous for just over 4 years, and this is just a couple of screenshots of sort of the impact it's had on my life and some of the things that we do as an organization. So lots of opportunities for amazing travel, work with a super cool team, and we do a lot of investment in the community. So that's a couple of shots of us doing that. And then over on my right-hand side of the screen is the two cutie pies. That's Brady and Finley Newman. And so this was about a month after I started working with Righteous. At the time we were called Fiasco, and this was the day when I realized really that my work-life balance that I had been trying to achieve over the course of my career really became a work-life blend, which is, I think, something that a lot of people at this time in history are really fortunate to experience, where they're so passionate about what they do day to day that it really blends into their life. And so these are my kids, and having them along with me for the Righteous journey has been super enriching for me. So we can switch to the next slide. I don't get a lot of opportunity to talk about who I am to anyone other than my friends. And so I'm just taking this opportunity to introduce a big part of my life. This is Smudge, my cat, and the newest member of our family, who I'm just obsessed with. I'm a new dog mom, so this is Zeus. And so they just make me smile and make me less nervous to chat with everyone. So I thought I'd throw them in there too. So we can move on to the next slide there. And actually, if you click one more time, Karen. So this is the brand mission at Righteous. Oh, sorry, go back once. There we go. Just wanted to highlight here. So in our constant unwavering pursuit for greatness, we enrich people's lives one tiny spoonful at a time. And we just happen to do it by making gelato. And so really there's a couple of key things here, in that the pursuit is constant. And so we acknowledge that we're on a journey that we'll never quite get there. There's this sense of constant improvement, as well as enriching people's lives. So that is our North Star, our guiding light. It guides every single decision that we make, along with our core virtues. Is what we're doing going to enrich someone's life, whether that be our team members, our fans, our partners, everyone that we come into contact with. And go ahead and click through. So this is just a little bit more about who we are. So we work really hard to invest in our community. Obviously, we are a certified B Corporation. We're also very proudly Great Place to Work certified. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we talk about the impact that being a B Corp has on our business. And then just a couple of the initiatives that we take on. So we are a living wage employer. And so we partner with a lot of different organizations to ensure that we're aligned in terms of what a living wage looks like, and how we can ensure that all of the team members who work with us really have the dignity of never having to choose between paying a bill or having a prescription filled. We want to make sure that every single team member, full-time, part-time, are making enough to live in the community. We work closely with Community Food Centers of Canada, so we're what's called a good food builder. So we use our resources and our influence to reduce food insecurity, which is one of our giving pillars. And then Meal Share, that's another one of the partners that we work with. So we have every month we choose a specific flavor, and every single time we sell a pint of that flavor, we are donating a real meal to a person or a youth in need. Go ahead and switch to the next one. It's so strange not to be able to just click your own button. So how the journey started. So really, like I mentioned, we had always, from the beginning of Righteous, it had really been in our DNA to be a purpose-driven organization. It was never something that was, decided after the fact. It was really just the way that we operated, always trying to work in the best interest of our team, their families, our communities, and our environment. But something that James mentioned in the video was when we almost went out of business just before the floods happened in Calgary. And so at the time, we the majority of our business really was servicing, stuck on the word, food service. So having our gelato in restaurants was a major portion of our business. And if anyone's familiar with the geography in Calgary, about 40% of our restaurant business was right within the flood zone. So sort of overnight, we saw 40% of our partners go out of business, and which obviously put a huge strain and risk to our own organization. But at the time, the question wasn't, how are we going to bounce back from that? The question was, what can we do to help? And so this is a shot of the Calgary Zoo, and it's obviously devastating to see. The zoo underwent about $50 million in damage during the flood. So you can go ahead and click through. So what happened at the time was really just our organization reaching out to the Calgary Zoo and saying, how can we help? And they basically said, amazing, thank you. You guys decide what you're going to do. And so it was this almost accidental decision to put our gelato into jars and sell it in grocery stores. A few things we didn't know at the time, using glass jars with a frozen product, hand labeling, and deciding to have 2 by 2 rebuild the zoo was the campaign, but having to figure out, how to fill the jars. At the time, we were making 10 liters at a time, so very small batches, compared to we do about 5,400 liters a day now. But we committed to putting packages into 24 Calgary co-ops. So what that translated to in terms of our team was about 3 weeks worth of work around the clock of hand filling glass jars full of gelato. As I mentioned, about $50 million in damages at the zoo. If you want to click through, Karen, after it was all said and done, I think we missed one. Oh, there's a slide missing, but that's okay. After it was all said and done, with a portion of the jar sales going directly to the zoo, we raised $11,045. So obviously just a tiny little dent in what the zoo needed to rebuild. But what we really learned from that was, number one, the influence that we had in the city of Calgary. And so several other small businesses really looked to us to see what we were doing as one of sort of the first movers in getting out and investing in the community post-flood. But what also happened was this accidental entry and complete pivot of our business going into grocery stores, which basically took us from being a very small business to, well, we're still a very small business, but with a much wider reach, now being in grocery stores across the country. So it all at that time sort of led to this decision to become B Corp certified. And I'll talk a little bit about what the journey looked like in terms of our score. And but sort of fast forward, I did this a little bit backwards, but if we fast forward a little bit to becoming B Corp certified and the impact that it's had on our business, you can click through again. I work very closely on the people and culture side of the business, so I'm sort of focused more on that here. But one of the major pillars of a B Corp of being a B Corp certified corporation is how we treat our people. And so I think everything that you see on the screen sort of speaks for itself. We are, as I mentioned, Great Place to Work certified, which is entirely voted for by the team. And then we are a top small and medium employer. We've just been named one of the best workplaces for today's youth. We've been a top employer in Alberta. And so obviously this attracts and retains talent, which allows us to continue to enrich people's lives. Go ahead and click through. A couple of other ways that we've been recognized within the community. Within the Great Place to Work certification in 2019, we were actually named as one of the best workplaces in Canada for under 100 employees. We've won Small Business of the Year in Calgary, and our founder James is also an Entrepreneur of the Year. Keep going. I don't have any numbers to quantify. I always tell people when they're asking me, you know, what's the ROI on becoming B Corp certified? Number one, I think that's not, it's always going to help, but it's definitely not the right reason to go ahead and pursue the certification. But we have been on the Growth 500 list for the past 5 years. And so kind of clearly that speaks for itself as well. Go ahead. So sort of what is next for us? So I'm going to talk a bit about the first time we certified and then the few times that we recertified. So go ahead and click through. So these are our committable core virtues, which I mentioned a little bit at the beginning. Click one more time, Karen. The one that I'm focusing on here right now is that we thrive with growth, wellness, and constant improvement. So our mission speaks to it. We have it written on the wall. It is a constant pursuit of continuously trying to make things better, whether it's the way that we produce gelato, the amount that we're investing in the community, the various initiatives and policies that we put in place to take care of our team, etc. Go ahead. So congratulations to Libro on the score of 126 the very first time you certified. That is absolutely incredible. It took a team of 4 people about 9 months in 2016 when we did our original certification. I'm not sure it's been mentioned, but there's a score of 200 is if you aced every single thing on the impact assessment, you can get up to 200 points, and you have to get 80 to certify. So most companies, when they initially do that impact assessment, score in the 50s. And so we were thrilled to be originally certified with a score of 86. We were the first ice cream company in Canada to certify. I think we might still be the only one in Canada. And we were one of the first 10 in Calgary. And so it was just an exciting place to be during the floods, and having other small businesses look to us to see sort of what we were doing. It was really exciting for us to be able to sort of start this movement in Calgary and continue to be really active in the community. Go ahead. So the very first time that we recertified, it took a little bit less time and a little bit less people, but we were so excited to raise the score from 86 to 111. And if you flip through one more, I just grabbed a screenshot here of Ben & Jerry's. So this is something that it's just a fun fact that we love talking about, that Ben & Jerry's has a score of 110. So obviously a company that we emulate, and we are so proud to be in the same industry as, but yeah, beat them by 1. So it's something that we'll always brag about. And then we actually just completed our recertification at the beginning of 2020. And so we are currently celebrating a score of 115. So this is the team at our celebration party. And this was the first time that I was really gifted the honor of championing the entire reassessment process within the organization. And it is no joke, like I think the entire panel can agree to, but something that's so rewarding, and something that there's no stone unturned in terms of the potential of what you can do within your organization to continuously improve. And every single time you get a point, you're not just trying to increase your score, you're trying to do good for the world. So with every point that your score is raised, it just means you're operating according to your values and the way that you want to do business. So So something that's so exciting and we're so proud of. Next slide. So in terms of what is next for us, and a couple of the other gals have mentioned, the B Impact Assessment is essentially a roadmap to what you can do within your organization to become a more purpose-driven company. And so we use this improvement report. Essentially, it's available through the B Lab, and it goes through every single question that you didn't score 100% on, so that you can create your own sort of improvement guide and set goals within your strategic planning in your organization for what you can work on next to continue to operate in this way. So something that I am intimately familiar with is the little improvement report. It takes up a lot of my day and my mind time. And so I wanted to throw this in here. Everybody sort of touched on it a little bit. And I want to apologize, it's getting so dark in here. It's just getting dark outside. The advice that I have for other businesses who are considering becoming a B Corporation, want to know that they want to do good in the world, are already doing good in the world, and they're just not sure how to measure it. The best advice that I can give and that I received is really reaching out to the community. So B Lab, again, is such an incredible resource, but also the resources within your community. So you can go onto the B Corp website and search the directory just for other B Corps in your city. And I can't tell you how many times we receive cold calls from other organizations in Calgary who are just curious about it, looking to see what it takes. And we are so happy to get together with them to go through our journey, offer advice. And so I just know that anybody who's thinking about this, if you do the same within your own community, there will be 100% organizations that are more than willing to share their journey with you. And of course, you'll have all of our contact information as well. So definitely reach out, because while it is no joke, it is probably easier than you think it is. You're probably already doing a lot of the things that, and you're just not measuring it. And so it just takes some time and some headspace. And also, do the assessment. It is a free tool, a free roadmap, so that you can really see sort of how far you probably already are, and then just work towards putting those measurements in place. And I think we have one last slide. This is just something that we wanted to share. If anybody is got hungry watching all the gelato be made, we're super excited that we do ship across Canada. So this is for our web store. The code B Corp will get you 20% off. We're also available in grocery stores across the country, and I think that I will have another coupon code that will go out in the follow-up communication as well, where you can print off a coupon that you can actually take into the grocery store as well. So looking forward to hearing some questions and continuing the conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but we do have our panel is from across Canada. So Liz is located just outside of Windsor, Ontario. Our friends at Mccabe are in London, and then Shannon from Righteous Gelato, she is located in Calgary. So this really is quite the panel here, and hearing from different industry leaders, different companies that do totally different things, but are all coming together for the same common goal, which I think is really awesome. And I want to say thank you for the fantastic presentations that everyone gave tonight. I think there were so many really awesome nuggets of information. And again, wanted to mention that this is being recorded and we will be sharing this out afterwards. So if you are on the call and you're like, oh, I have a friend that would so benefit from hearing this information, you can share it with them. I know we've got a handful of attendees that are from our friends at the Epicenter and University of Windsor. So feel free to share that amongst your networks as well. So we're going to get into some of the questions that have been asked, and I know that some of them have already been answered in the chat, but I just for the sake of kind of going through them and it being also on the recording, we'll read some of them aloud, and then also we will get some of our experts from our panel to chime in as well. So one here that came in kind of right away, which is awesome. I'm a young entrepreneur in tech and I'm just getting my startup off the ground. Any tips on how I can start incorporating purpose into my business? So that's a phenomenal question. Liz, wondering if you wanted to maybe give a little bit of an answer to that one.
Sure. Yeah, I missed that one. I was trying, as the other people were speaking, trying to throw some answers in there. So yeah, I missed that one. But yeah, I think great question. And I did kind of forget my piece of advice too. And part of it, that was to just get started, to not worry about waiting until it's perfect and that you have this big wholesome strategy already ready to go. So I would just say, if there's something, if there's already an element of your business that has a social purpose, or you're already connected in some way, then I would say start there. I know that there is a social purpose business model canvas as well. So if you're just getting started, using that canvas might help you determine like what best connection is there to the work that you do and what you're personally passionate about. I think as an entrepreneur, that's what you're going to want to do too, is probably what's something that is you're personally passionate about and is very well connected to the business that you run, obviously, are kind of places to make sense there. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add. And I should say, I don't want to speak for everybody else on the call, but we're always happy to talk to people as well if you need a little bit more help as you get going. But that's great, and congrats. Keep pushing forward with that.
Fantastic. Yeah, and maybe we could also hear from Alex and Natalie as well from Mccabe on this question.
I was just saying to Natalie to type into Liz to also, like, when you start incorporating that purpose and when you start getting started with it, to start measuring from the beginning as well, because as you measure, you'll be able to see just how much you're improving and how great that impact that you're making is, and all the best with your journey in that.
Fantastic. And then also, Shannon, we will hear from you as well on this one.
Yeah, I know I'm a bit of a broken record, but the B impact assessment has so many. We always talk about our blind spots, and you just don't know what you don't know, and so there is a high likelihood that you either have ideas about how you want to run your organization, or you're already doing things within your organization that you actually now just need to put pen to paper. So for example, people policies, a lot of questions get asked around things like maternity leave and benefits, and all of the things that you eventually are going to want to have in your human resource strategy or package, sort of your employer brand. Those things are sort of laid out for you, and so you can then go ahead and make yourself a checklist. Okay, this month I'm going to look at who do I want to be as an organization for working mothers, and then look to how that strategy has such an amazing impact on the workforce, and then just put it on paper. And it really is that simple. And there's so many snippets and ideas that come from doing the assessment.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for your answer. And again, thank you for asking those questions. They're awesome and great to have conversation about. This next one here, and I saw Liz already went in there and added an answer, which is phenomenal, but how can I influence my employer to think purposefully? That's a fantastic question, and Liz wrote in here, great question. Perhaps coming from the perspective of the business benefits and social purpose might be a great place to start. There are some great resources at socialpurpose.ca under the resource section. Yes, so phenomenal. That's awesome. Alex, Natalie, if you guys also want to maybe chime into that one, just something quick.
Sorry, our mute button is very slow. Oh.
Can you hear us? Oh, you can hear us.
Okay, it's showing that we're still muted. One thing I would say, and for us, it didn't really start from the top that we had to convince. It was the team as a whole. And so we had that buy-in from the higher levels. But again, it's showing value and showing that, you know, this does have a positive impact on the business. And so really being able to lead with stories from client experiences and just being able to start conversations that go into a positive way with clients and things like that, and showing that, you know, there is value to this and this is a way that we can differentiate ourselves as a business, really seemed to help our whole team get engaged and more on board with this change.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then Shannon as well.
Yeah, I think almost every business owner is an entrepreneur at heart, and likely at some point in their journey has been businesses that they have either respected, wanted to emulate, looked up to. And I think, you know, we're over 4,000 B Corps at this point. So I think just a quick search, even by industry on the B Corp, in the B Corp directory, you'll be able to find various organizations that perhaps your organization strives to be like. And so it's just showing. So for example, at Righteous, we love Chobani, Danone are a couple of major food manufacturers. Patagonia is like, you know, a business that we really strive to emulate. And so it's just showing them that other businesses who have come before you, who have proven that this model not only is good for business, but great for the world, have come before you.
Awesome. Great question. All right, these next two were specific to Libro, so I will read them aloud for the sake of the recording. So what was the most difficult change for Libro to make towards becoming purpose-based? And Liz put in there, you know, great question. Luckily, we've had a strong commitment to from our board and leadership, so this has set the tone and felt natural. These challenges have been around how we prioritize and focus on those things that align to Libro's purpose, and we can't do it all, so where can we have the most impact? That's, yeah, an awesome point. And then the next one here, so another question for Libro, is it hard being a purpose-based business when banks are profit-based? Or only profit-based, sorry, especially when they are often market themselves as if that they aren't. So i.e. pipelines, rainbow washing, etc. And yeah, Liz put a fantastic answer in here. We think the more businesses and organizations that are tackling societal issues, the better. Of course, that needs to be authentic and consumers are savvy. We think that there is room for all of us, and it is a journey. And it is a journey for the banks and for all credit unions. We are in a unique position where we don't have the customer shareholder divide. Our customers are our owners and the profit is shared with them. So we are just full steam ahead. But yeah, great point. There's room for everybody at the table, and everyone's on a different journey. And the goal is to see all businesses moving this way. Fantastic. So a specific question for Mccabe, is it hard to promote giveaway items while caring for the environment? And I will pass that over to Alex and Natalie.
Can you hear us? Yeah, thanks, sorry. Did you want to?
Yeah, this is definitely something that we see on a day-to-day basis. You know, we always try to lead with more environmentally conscious or at least socially responsible products. And so we try to lead with that and to educate our clients into why we are recommending these types of products. That doesn't always mean that they are going to go for that. There's budget constraints and timelines that we have to consider as well. But so that's why we really try to take a proactive approach and really have more of a relationship with our clients to understand what their marketing objectives are throughout the year. And if we can better prepare and kind of have all that information in advance, then we're able to come to the table with the best solutions that we're able to recommend. And we've found that in recent years, you know, there has been this big shift, and I think it's been really from the consumer side of things and retail side. You know, there's already this huge shift in consumerism to be more conscious and mindful of what you're buying. And so we're always a little bit slower on the promo side. It's usually a few months behind the retail side of things. But being able to see that, okay, our suppliers are now investing in researching these types of products, and for us to say, this is a journey that we're on as an organization, and this is what's important to us. And with our strong relationship with our suppliers, we're then able to kind of lead that change and be able to be ones that advocate for having those products accessible. And then also we try to look outside our industry as a whole and go to retail brands or other local producers that necessarily don't work within the promotional products industry, but say, this is what we're trying to do. Can we have access to your product base for our clients, because we're trying to educate them and shift their marketing spend. And so it definitely is a challenge, but something that we have been trying to work towards through recent years.
Fantastic. That's an awesome answer. All right. And just a comment here. I didn't know this was possible. I'm learning so much. That's awesome. That's the whole point of tonight. And then Alejandro writes, have you noticed, maybe this is for everybody, I'm not sure who was speaking when this was asked, but we'll hear from everybody. Have you noticed profit growth in your business as a result of becoming purpose-based? So Liz, from Libro's perspective, said, Libro here, yes, we have, and we want to get better at quantifying that. Shannon, wondering if you want to maybe add a little bit to that as well from Righteous's perspective.
Yeah, sorry. As I mentioned, I don't work so much on the finance side, and I think we can all agree it's difficult to quantify, how much success comes from being purpose-driven, or how much comes from the marketing, how much comes from the sales side. What we know to be true is that every time we make a decision that is aligned with being purpose-driven, it leads us in the direction that we want to go. And so we are a for-profit company. Obviously, that plays a huge part of our strategic plans is growth, because the more gelato we make, the more gelato we sell, the more team members we can employ, the more people whose lives we're enriching. And so that all comes with being a successful organization, and all of our decisions are made based on aligning with our values, aligning with our virtues, and being purpose-driven. So difficult to quantify, but I'd say impossible to ignore.
Awesome. And Liz, wondering if you also want to, I know you wrote in the chat there, but wondering if you wanted to maybe speak to how Libro is working on that and any growth we've seen.
Yeah, sure. I did just throw kind of the short answer in there, but we do, anecdotally, we know it is attracting staff that want to stay around, and that are, when you have people that are values aligned and are committed to what you're doing, they're more engaged, higher engagement, higher productivity. There's a lot of cost savings as well as a lot of cost, benefit. And we are absolutely, our HR group continues to tell us that when people are coming, they're saying, I came here, or I was attracted to your organization because of your values and because you're a B Corp. They do notice that. And they're saying, I could work anywhere, but I'd rather work for a place that I know is aligned to my values. And that's gold. That's liquid gold, right? And we do know that it's also attracting new owners because they're telling us so. So when you factor profitability, like Shannon said, that is a great word. We're not nonprofits. We are here and the more business that we do, the more prosperity we're generating and the more we're impacting Southwestern Ontario. So we call it a virtuous circle of growth. And that's, really, we're all kind of working toward that together. We also know that, we retain owners. So when you think about, we all make mistakes as companies, or someone may not be completely pleased with the service in a particular time or what have you. But when someone is aligned to the values that you have, they're more likely to stick around. They're more likely to say, I like what this place is all about. It would be hard for me to leave. And I think we asked that question in surveys as well. And so it would take a lot for someone, both as an employee on the employee side or as an owner side, it would take them a lot to leave. And that's because we're earning that, that relationship with that organization. And so I think sometimes people will think, well, I used to hear that a lot about socially responsible investing. Well, aren't I giving up, the best returns I can get or the highest returns or what have you? And that's just not the case anymore. And I think, so we know that doing business in this way is a profitable way to do business. And when I said we'd like to get better at quantifying that, it's not always one for one that we can establish that. But that's something that we're kind of working on, because we think the more we can tell that story to people, the more, attractive it is to someone who's just possibly considering it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. A question specifically for Mccabe. What is your favorite part of working for Mccabe outside of B Corp initiatives?
Thank you. That's a great question. Personally, outside of B Corp initiatives, I'd have to say that the team that we have here is incredible, and we have been able to foster some really great relationships amongst our team members, which are leading our entire organization to do such great things. And so I would have to say that that's the thing that I always talk about the most. Like I just, I look forward to coming in the morning and seeing the people that I'm seeing and building and fostering those really important relationships. I mean, we do spend quite a bit of time together, so.
And I'll just add on to that. Another thing that I really appreciate here is you're never stuck in a role. You're always encouraged to ask questions. If another team or department is doing something, you're always encouraged to ask questions and get involved. And so there's really no limit to what you can achieve here. And so you can really make your own pathway at this company. And so if it's something that aligns with your personal passions and values, and you're able to show that it could benefit the company and aligns with your strengths, then they're all game for you going for it. And so having that support and ability to go after what you want, rather than just this is your day-to-day, this is what you're meant to do, and having that kind of creativity to create the role for yourself has been really exciting for me.
We actually, as we were going through certification, realized that we had an opportunity to remove job descriptions or traditional job descriptions, and instead we made one job description that everyone in our organization has, from our president and vice president down to the most recent hires. And that job description simply asks for people to practice curiosity in their day-to-day lives and focus on growing and realizing how they can improve, not just for the company but for themselves. And what we found is that it removes the box from around roles, and so people feel comfortable reaching outside of what their perceived roles and responsibilities are, and lending their expertise and passion to other areas in the company. And it's just creating such an incredibly collaborative atmosphere here that we're seeing some pretty amazing things happen.
Fantastic. Great. All right. Moving along here. So Noor wrote, is it best to become a B corporation if you want to be purpose-based? I'm assuming you want to be purpose-based business. Liz, wondering if you maybe want to take on that one? Be awesome.
Sure. So that's a great question. And you be a B Corp and not necessarily have adopted a complete social purpose. And you can be a purpose-based business and not have adopted B Corp as the way you're going to measure yourself. So kind of a interesting question there. So I think, oh, sorry, my screen just jumped around there. So I think that's something that you would look at once you've, decided what facet it is that you're on. There are a number of different frameworks. B Corp just happens to be one of them. So I would just say, to do your research, see what makes sense for your business. As an example, when we were first looking at rating systems, It needed to be something that was accessible to us as well. At the time, we didn't have environmental data, and there are some rating systems that at the time required a ton of environmental data. And so it's not that we wanted to pick something that didn't hold us accountable to that, but we wanted to get started and not wait until we had all of those things. So I would say a lot has changed since then. The ask about environmental reporting and environmental metrics is a lot stronger even in the B Corp assessment. So those are the types of things that as you go through, you'll want to just kind of see what fits best for your business. I think you want something that's credible. You want something that, you know, is looking at that full environmental, social, and governance piece. And for us, I think part of what it was is that we really thought that we wanted to be part of a movement. So we didn't want to just become a B Corp. We wanted to also help the B Corp movement become a thing, an even stronger thing. So it doesn't have to be this one, most certainly. We just all happen to all have chosen this. Yeah. Hopefully that was clear.
Fantastic. No, that was great. Awesome. So Hassan wrote, can you offer any tips in the approach in hiring values-aligned talent? So Shannon, wondering if you could speak to this one, just as you have lots of experience working with people and culture. This seems like a question made for you.
Yeah, this is something that we're really passionate about. And I think it starts with having really clear company values. Things that you know within your organization that as a group are the way that you base your decisions, and then really creating and aligning all of your processes around that, including your people processes. And so we have a really well-defined hiring process that is embedded from, you know, the way that we write our postings, the way that we treat our applicants in enriching their life simply by choosing to apply for a role within our organization, all the way through to, you know, how we welcome them through the interview process, what our onboarding looks like, everything within that, including all of the interview questions, stem from our 8 core virtues. And so it's being really clear with who you are as an organization and what's important to you in how you operate your business and what's important to every single team member, and then incorporating that into all of your hiring strategies and, you know, saying, okay, this is what the core value is. We call them core virtues. And this is what's important to us, and then quantifying what does that look like? What does a person who embodies that core virtue, how do they act? How do they, what are the things that are important to them? How does that show up in the way that they do their work? And then incorporating those into the interview questions. And it's, you know, if you do that every step of the way in the hiring journey, it's pretty tricky to get it wrong. If that makes sense. Like it's pretty tough to fake all the way through. So most people, like Liz was saying, most people approach Righteous because of that values alignment, and it's being really public about who you are and how you want to do business, and in all of your communications. And then those people that you really know will align with you will start to be the ones who are applying in the first place. And then you can use that process to kind of assure that alignment is there.
Awesome. Great answer. And then actually, if you want to keep Shannon in the hot seat, there's another specific question to Righteous. Are the gelato containers made with recycled plastic or have sustainable resources post-consumption?
Yeah, so this is such a tricky one. I think it's pretty, it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a wrong assumption. That's not the right word, but I'm stumped for the right word. There's this idea that ice cream that comes in a paper or cardboard container is recyclable, when really there's the wax coating around it that makes it so it doesn't leak, that that makes it so that it's actually not recyclable. So it is a single-use item. One of our constant improvement, and we're actually in strategic planning this week, and the packaging conversation is a conversation that is, you know, on every single list as something that we are working towards a shift in. But so currently we love that our packaging is reusable, and the way that the jars are, it's basically you get a Tupperware after you're done with it. And so it's super multi-purpose. Like I personally have it here for my pens and my pencils. And yeah, so we're not there yet in terms of it is recyclable and it is reusable, but it's not entirely made with recycled plastic. But we're working on it.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Great. Well, I think that really wraps up our question and answer period. There was 2 comments in here that are just kind of nice to end off tonight with. One being, I love how Mccabe credits working with Libro as the start of their journey, and now they may be a catalyst for their clients. This may not count in their score, but it certainly shows the impact you have on you each have on other businesses. That's awesome. And lastly, thank you for sharing your stories and insights, and thanks for caring more than just profit. So having that double or triple bottom line, and profit not being the only thing to report on. So again, I want to take just a second to thank all of our experts, our speakers tonight. Phenomenal job. I know I personally learned a lot, and that's to say that you can never stop learning about this type of thing, even if you're, you know, regardless of who's on the call, whether you feel like you know a lot about the topic or maybe you're just getting started, there's lots of learnings to take away. So as I mentioned before, there will be an email sent out to everyone that RSVP'd with the link to the recorded video of this, as well as some other resources in there for, you know, whether you want to take some time to read some articles, look at some websites, some different frameworks, some guides, that sort of thing. Lots of stuff that we talked about earlier during the presentation. And feel free to send that with friends or family, business owners, anybody you think that may be relevant for. I know each person said it on the call here tonight, but if you do have any questions related to B Corp or any of the businesses here tonight, feel free to reach out. You know, no one's too hard to find these days given the internet. So whether that's LinkedIn or on any of our websites, please feel free to reach out and just mention how, you know, where you heard about us from. So if that's related to B Corp or, you know, being a purpose-driven business, or, you know, you want to start a gelato business, or maybe you want to start a credit union, I don't know, but anything under that lens, feel free to reach out to any of us. And obviously too, a plug for Mccabe, if your business needs some awesome sustainable swag items or promotional items, you know where to find them. Well, that is all for us tonight. Again, thank you everyone so much for your time, and we will see you on the next webinar.
Thanks, everybody.